how to get your first wholesale deal in the next 30 days. Guys, this is Rick Ginn with Flip with Rick. If you guys stumbled across this, you're in the right place. Let's talk about getting your first wholesale deal. So let's get right in. Let's go straight into it. What is wholesaling? Wholesaling is simply your ability to go out and get a property under contract at a discounted rate, which means you buy it below market price, and then you turn around to a cash buyer. You make a very handsome fee for what you do, and the cash buyer closes on it very quickly, and you repeat this process. That's it, guys. You basically get discounted properties under contract. You then sell your contract to a cash buyer, and the reason we use cash buyers is they close really quickly. So there's 3 simple steps in getting your first deal under contract. Because we don't have time, let's get into it. So number 1 is we are only looking for motivated sellers. We are not looking for people on MLS. I want you to understand you need a motivated seller. What is a motivated seller? Is simply somebody who has to sell their house. They don't need to, they don't want to, they have to sell their house. Maybe it's financial, maybe the property's run down, maybe it got inherited, maybe somebody passed away. I don't know what the situation is, but those are the type of people we're looking for. Do not beat your head trying to chase down like regular people looking to get realtors list this property. You'll literally waste your time. So number 1, we have to locate motivated sellers. So let's talk about techniques on locating motivated sellers. I have 19 years experience doing this. I'm going to share with you what I'd have to do if I had to get a deal in the next 30 days and I never did wholesaling before. So number 1, the simplest one is, let's just assume you're on an extremely limited budget. So we call it a sweat equity. You're going to have to go out there and find deals because you don't have the money for the marketing. So if I didn't have any money, the first thing I would do, guaranteed, would be getting in my car and do driving for dollars. Driving for dollars is simply the art of finding distressed houses. So here's what I want you to look for. Anything with a tarp on the roof. My favorite one is a mailbox knocked down. High grown grass is a really easy one, especially in the summertime when the grass is growing up. Any house that looks like it is just run down, a stack of newspapers on the front doorstep, that is your ideal house. It's not that hard to go out and collect 50, 100, 200. We've done as many as 500 addresses in one driving. Guys, get in your car, a little bit of gas, a little bit of time. But if you don't have the money, guys, this is what I do. Most of the properties I buy have some sort of distress. And you look at it and go, my God, we drove by that property like 15 times. If you just wrote the address down, we could have got the lead for free. That's what I want you to do. Yes, you're going to invest a little bit of time in it, but you're not spending thousands of dollars on marketing. You're putting in your own time. That's sweat equity. That's number 1. Number 2, I would call on any FSBO you can get your hands on. The more conversations you can have with sellers, the better your chance. Now, it doesn't cost you any money to get those FSBOs, and you can get them all online, including the ones driving for dollars. Just have a conversation with them. They do have a lower probability, but with Zillow, Trulio, all these great services, you can collect all this data, get their phone numbers because they put it right in there, and call the sellers. You have nothing to lose, and at worst, it will train you how to talk to people. The next one, which nobody talks about anymore, and it drives me nuts, is door knocking. When I started out in this business, I didn't have money for leads. I just went and found the houses that I need to talk to. So like you're driving for dollars. If I'm driving for dollars and I see somebody out in front of a dilapidated house, I'm going to have a conversation with them. Now, I want you to be safe about this. Is not for everyone. But listen, guys, if you're on a budget, you're going to have to go out there and hustle. So knocking on doors, that is the fastest straight line way to talk to somebody and get a deal. So if you have the ability, you can go and knock on doors of distressed homes and just talk to the seller. And they're really easy conversations. I'm going to walk through the conversation part in just a little bit. But guys, we're focusing on ways to get properties that are distressed in the next 30 days. We don't have a lot of time. We've got to move with speed. So we did driving for dollars, FSBOs, and I talked about door knocking. Those are all what we call outbound marketing techniques. And you have to do it when you're on a very low budget. Now, if you can't, I want you to do all 3. Ideally, I want you to do all deal. If you're not comfortable door knocking, full disclosure, don't do it. But if you like talking to people and you're in a safe neighborhood, by all means, have a conversation with people. The other one, if I had to spend just a little bit of money on a service, and don't worry, all the services I'll put below in the links below. I don't want to waste my time on that. I would do SMS. SMS is simply outbound texting where you send a message, say, hey, listen, are you interested in selling your house? Now, you're going to have to get the right list for that. I'm going to go over it. But SMS text, you can send out 1,500, 5,000 texts with a click of the button, and then you have to sort through the text. The goal with texting is to convert them to a phone conversation. Very rarely are you going to close an entire deal on texting, especially your first one in the first 30 days. The goal is to get in front of a seller and talk to them. And guys, the key to the best deal with these people is if you can get in front of them, because we are out canvassing our local neighborhoods. I don't have time to go to St. Louis, Minnesota, anything like that. I want you to do this within your backyard. It should be within an hour of where you live, as long as you're not in like New York City or like San Francisco. This technique works. Why, guys? Because we still do it to this day and it works. If you told me how to get a deal in the first 30 days, I would have you be highly aggressive and go out and use these techniques. People talk about cold calling. I like cold calling, but like the reality of cold calling is expensive if you don't do it yourself. The data is expensive. It's around 10 to 12 cents per piece of data. You can use a service like a one price fits all, but they limit on how much data you can download, and then you got to hire someone to do it. So I like cold calling. If you like the cold calling, do it. I would suggest is you can get a simple dialer. A dialer is you can call 3 people at a time, like a Mojo dialer, Zen dialer. I don't care what you use. Understand those are paid services and you got to get the data. You have to do the cold calling if you're going to do it. Do not outsource it. You do not have the money for it and you don't have the time and the learning curve. So if you like doing that, go ahead and do the cold calling, get a list, and you cold call yourself, maybe use a dialer, and you invest a couple $100 when you do that. That moves us on to step number 2, talking to the seller. And I know a lot of you go, my God, Rick, that sounds intimidating. It's not. Here's the secret in wholesaling. And a lot of people won't share this with you. You're not selling. Let me repeat to this. You are absolutely not selling. You are simply having conversations with people. So if you like talking to people, or even if you don't like talking to people, you want to get in the wholesaling, I need you to get over it and get used to it right now. What's the best way? Get out and talk to sellers. So use the techniques I taught you on the outbound marketing and go out and connect. Hey, Rick, I spoke to the seller. They want to meet with me. Great. What do I do now? Go meet with them. The worst they're going to do is say no to you, right? So what I teach, and I teach everybody that I come in contact in wholesaling, is it's a conversation. It's not a sale. Your job is to build rapport with them, get them to like you. Listen, we all like doing business with people we like and trust. Your job is to do that. How do you do? Just go in there, connect with them, look at pictures, family albums. Maybe they got a favorite sports team and connect with them. So here's 2 simple questions I'm going to teach you. And don't worry, I'll give you all the tools to be able to do this after the show. Number 1, why are you considering selling, Mr. Seller? It's really that simple. If you're just starting out, just starting that question will open up a dialogue of what's going on in their house and what's going on in their life. The next critical question is, Mr. Seller, if I'm able to buy your house, where are you moving to? Get them excited about it. In my 19 years experience, if they don't have a place where they're going to, you're a long way from getting a deal. And this deal ain't going down in 30 days. Maybe it goes down in 6 months. But if he says, hey, listen, I'm moving in with my sister in North Carolina and I'm moving in 3 weeks. Dude, you're going to get a good deal with that guy because he or she's ready to go. If he or she says, well, I'm not sure, I haven't considered where I'm moving, it's going to be a while till that deal closes because it takes people on average 90 to 120 days to even go through the thought process of moving. Simply talking to a seller is simple. Those 2 questions, why are you selling, basically, and number 2, where are you going to move if I'm able to buy your house? Those 2 qualifying questions will expand on the conversation, but that's the simplicity of talking to people. Do not overcomplicate. It's not how much do you want for your house? What are the estimated repairs? Guys, have a conversation with people. You'll get better with each conversation, I promise you. I was terrible at this in the beginning, and I still did deals. So your next step after you're talking to the seller is simply put it under contract. You want to use the simplest contract. It's usually 2 or 3 pages, and it just summarizes, hey, we're closing on this date. This is the price. and we're buying everything in the house. And it's simply that. A motivated seller will sign a contract. You do have to be confident and talk to them, but you do not have a deal if you do not have a contract. You have to have the property under contract. Once you put the property on contract, that moves us to the step number 3. Step number 3 is actually selling your contract. Now, you can't sell something if you don't have it under contract. If you skip the contract part, I promise you, your wholesale deal will blow up on you. Someone will go around you and it's going to be a problem. So you are selling the contract, not the property, and you need to understand that. If you don't have a contract, you have nothing to sell. What we're going to do is go out and locate a cash buyer. It's really simple to find a cash buyer. There's 2 types of cash buyers. There's going to be the landlord. That's the person who wants to use the property for a long-term rental in their portfolio. And number 2 is typically going to be a rehabber, one of those HGTV, I'm going to flip it and make it beautiful. I love those people because they always buy the vision. If your properties doesn't need rehab and is typically in a rental area, I'm going to look for landlords. The first place I'm going to look on Facebook, any type of social media, Instagram. Craigslist is a great one. It's that simple. If I have a property that needs a lot of rehab, I'm going to focus on rehabbers when I put out. And guys, you don't even need to do like a simple paid ad in Craigslist, the Facebook marketplace. You'll get buried. And those are easy ones to do, but the often overlooked one is just putting a simple sign around the outlying area of the property. So if there's a stop sign when you're leaving that neighborhood, try to get it on both sides. That sign alone, just putting out, you have a 2232 house, must sell immediately, call, and let it go to voicemail. Once you do that, you locate your cash buyer. You've identified if it's a landlord or a rehabber. And basically what you're going to do is enter into an assignment agreement with them. And basically it's a piece of paper that allows them to take over your contract for a set fee, and then they become the buyer. Why I want you to do assignment? Because it's fast. Most of our assignment deals are sold in 7 to 14 days, and there's no inspections, there's no bank approvals. It moves fast. And what an assignment allows you to do other than speed is it will drastically reduce your risk. It's important you get all the right paperwork for that. I'm going to provide the links below on how you can do everything to get your first wholesale deal in the next 30 days. Here's what happens, guys. It's a 3-step process. I can't teach you in like 15, 20 minutes how to do everything. If you go to freewholesaling.com, everything I just described to you will go in grave detail how you can exactly do what I do, my 19 years experience, wholesale your first deal in the next 30 days, and I'll give you a step-by-step process. And here's the crazy part. It's free, guys. Me and Zach have pulled the veil off wholesaling, and we want to give you access to our information. I think wholesaling is the entry point, the gateway to doing real estate and becoming wealthy beyond your wildest imagination. And wealth is not always about money. It's about freedom. So if you're in a job you absolutely hate, that's how I came with wholesaling. If you hate it, do yourself a favor. Go to freewholesaling.com, log in. There's no credit card. There's no fees. Go in. It's the most detailed free wholesaling course on the market today by one of the most experienced, actually the 2 most experienced wholesalers, 23 years combined experience. And there's no holds bar. There's no upgrades. I'm not duping you into a mentorship. We're here to make this accessible. Guys, you deserve it. Everyone's been sold the last 20 years. Let's change the game. Let's share the information and work together. And as you do each deal going forward, I promise you, your confidence will explode. After I did my first deal, I was so excited. I was like, I proved the theory. And once you get that first deal, guys, and believe me, you can get your first wholesale deal in 30 days, your confidence will explode. And then what you'll do is just repeat, and repeat the process. So guys, I couldn't cover everything in this video, but if you go to freewholesaling.com, I promise you, we offer the most detailed wholesaling course for free. Everybody else is charging $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 for it. Why am I giving it away for free? Because I just don't believe anything should stand in the way of you getting your first deal. Let's get you out there. I'd rather you spend your money on marketing dollars. I just gave you every free way to get a deal. There's so many more techniques. Go to freewholesaling.com and I will see you inside the course. Thanks, guys.